Whenever heinous offence takes place, the public has got some sort of expectation that the case will be investigated well and would eventually end in the conviction of the persons who were involved in the crime. But that does not always happen, and that leads to some sort of public outrage, media criticism, citing that police did not investigate the case properly. The blame mostly comes on the police for poor investigation. Today we shall discuss about a case which in 2002 shook the nation, and you would find that how complicated the whole process is, and it would really be an oversimplification to blame police for every acquittal that takes place in a criminal trial. Of course, in this case the conviction took place, but in any case the result could have been different. It was a match very evenly poised between the prosecution and the defense. In this series of videos, I would try to explain the difficulties the prosecution and the police face through India's most sensational murder cases. Here is one of that bracket, the Nitish Katara murder case that took place in 2002. The case basically is otherwise also famous or infamous as one of the first cases of honor killing in India. To be very brief with the facts, this Nitish Katara was a bright young boy of 24, an engineering pursuit and an engineer, and was in love with a girl, a Jadab girl whose father was very influential, and our brothers Vikash and Vishal were also some sort of influential political figures in the western part of UP. Her father was a known politician, and the family overall had some sort of political clout in that area. On the other hand, Nitish was the son of an administrative service officer. Her mother Neelam was a very focused, determined and gritty lady who brought up her son with some sort of principles injected into his mind. With this background, actually what happened that Nitish and this girl, they met somehow during their academic career, and they probably fell in love with each other, which was not approved by the girl's family for several reasons. And one day when Nitish, the girl's family, everybody actually were attending a meeting, sorry, not a meeting, but basically a marriage ceremony. Then after some time in the late hours of night, about at 3 a.m., everybody was looking for Nitish, and eventually his body was found badly smashed and at a distance from that place where the ceremony had taken place. Police started investigation based on the information given by Nitish's mother Neelam. Now, where was the difficulty? The difficulty was not but the police to arrest initially the Vikash and Vishal, who were last seen with the Nitish, and the witnesses initially told that Vikash and Vishal took Nitish in their SUV and they drove away. So, basically it was very common for the police to arrest the person with whom he was last seen. So, they were arrested, and of course, the one more guy then Shukdev Pahalwan, who was suspected of being the contract killer of this case, was also arrested. The difficulty arose during the trial. It was a case where there was no direct evidence. Nobody had seen that Nitish Katara was murdered by these guys. People definitely saw the Nitish taken away, not taken away, but actually they were friends at that point of time, even were moving out with Vikash and Vishal, and eventually he was found dead. So, to connect Vikash and Vishal with the murder of Nitish was not an easy task for the prosecution, And as time just rolled on, the witnesses turned hostile, and because of the influence that the Jadhav family had in that part of UP, so witnesses were more scared. And by the time this girl actually went to UK to pursue her nursing career, so almost the case initially, which looked very foolproof, and started looking extremely vulnerable, and it was almost a matter of acquittal, a matter of time before the acquittal would happen. Everybody thought like that only. But you see that what happens in criminal case, that there is always the pendulum of swing. Initially it looked to be very good detection. People were very appreciative of police, that well, police detected the case very early. Then the trial began, people's attention drifted away to other cases, and by the time in the back room of the court, the dramas were taking place, and it was clearly heading for an acquittal, had not Nitish's mother Neelam decided to move the Supreme Court to shift the trial from UP to Delhi. It's not ordinary. Ordinarily the criminal trial takes place in the jurisdiction of the court where the crime has been committed. But of course, there are provisions in the Criminal Procedure Code that in exceptional circumstances the trial can be shifted. It was one such case. The case was intrinsically weak because there was no direct evidence. It was entirely based on circumstantial evidence. And thirdly, and most important part of it is that the statement of Vikash, which was made to police, actually was denied in the trial definitely, and that part of the statement made under the 161 CRPC of the 161 CRPC had little evidentiary value. Unfortunately, one All India one news channel actually started broadcasting this thing, and it was leaked basically. The Vikas Jadhav statement was leaked in the media, and that was the disaster. First of all, this statement had little evidentiary value. Secondly, it was leaked. So, in all probability, the benefit of doubt was likely to go to the accused person. That this trial actually is an indicator why media should not overstep into the domain of criminal law. It causes more harm than good to the victim. Anyway, subsequently the case was shifted because of the very religious persuasion by Nitish's mother Neelam. The visa was cancelled, this girl's visa was cancelled. She had to be repatriated, and she had to come, and finally, based on the circumstantial evidence, and of course that the weapon of offence was recovered beautifully by the police, and this case ended in conviction. So, the learning point from these cases is that never ever go with the dazzle or the initial dazzle of investigation. Initially, a case may look very foolproof, very good, but subsequently it may result in acquittal. Secondly, got to be very careful about the media and this thing, because in these days of digital age and electronic media, everything can be leaked, everything it can be copied, and one such copy can be disaster for the prosecution and the police. And thirdly, that not only the police, but during investigation, but during the subsequent process of trial, the witnesses, particularly the de facto complainant, they have to take keen interest in the case. In this case, the Nitish's mother, of course, she had lost her son, and she demanded capital punishment for all these people involved. But had it not happened, then I think personally that the case was almost destined to end in an acquittal. So, this is one Nitish Katara case which actually was one of the most famous or infamous case of this honor killing, and a case where circumstantial evidence led to conviction, and a case where actually the balance was oscillating between acquittal and conviction, and finally because of certain factors it finally ended in conviction. So, more such cases, I will talk about more such cases, more such heinous crimes, murders mostly, that shook the nation at some point of time, and what really happened during the trial, because all of you are interested in the investigation, but when the investigation ends, the trial begins, and I will focus on that aspect of this the important cases, and I'll explain what led to conviction or acquittal in that particular case. So stay tuned to my channel.